let me tell you what happens in this book. There are places that feel alive, not because of the people who live there, but because of the memories they refuse to release. Wuthering Heights is one of those places, isolated, battered by relentless wind, surrounded by wild and unforgiving land. It is not merely a house, it is a reflection of the souls that inhabit it, harsh, intense, untamed. This story begins there, and in many ways, it never truly ends. The first person to guide us into this world is a man named Lockwood. He is a quiet, reserved gentleman from the city who rents a nearby estate called Thrushcross Grange, seeking peace and solitude in the English countryside. Curious about his neighbor, Lockwood decides to visit the owner of Wuthering Heights. His name is Heathcliff. From the very first moment, something feels wrong. Heathcliff is cold, hostile, withdrawn. His gaze is hard, his presence unsettling. Nothing about him suggests warmth or welcome. The house itself feels heavy and dark. The people inside seem distant, strange, as though they share a past no one dares to speak of. Lockwood senses that he is not welcome. Still, he returns a second time, and this time, everything changes. Caught in a violent snowstorm, Lockwood is forced to spend the night at Wuthering Heights. Alone in an old room, surrounded by ancient books and strange carvings scratched into the walls, he notices a name written over and over again: Catherine Earnshaw, Catherine Heathcliff, Catherine Linton. The name appears as though someone spent countless nights writing it, trying to decide who she truly was, or who she belonged to. Exhausted, Lockwood falls asleep, and then he dreams, or rather, he has a nightmare. A cold hand grips his arm. A voice sobs, begging to be let in through the window. It is Catherine, or what remains of her. Terrified, Lockwood cries out. The house awakens. Heathcliff rushes into the room, and at the sound of Catherine's name, something inside him shatters. For the first time, the hardened man shows emotion. He approaches the window, calling out into the darkness, begging Catherine to return. Lockwood watches in silence, realizing that he has stumbled into a story far greater than he ever imagined. A story of love, of pain, of obsession. The next morning, shaken by what he has witnessed, Lockwood seeks someone who understands the past of that place. That person is Nellie Dean. Nellie has served the families of Wuthering Heights for generations. She has seen everything, and through her voice, the true story begins. Many years earlier, Nellie explains, Mr. Earnshaw, the owner of Wuthering Heights, returned from a journey with a strange child he found wandering the streets of Liverpool. The boy was dirty, silent, and nameless. Mr. Earnshaw called him Heathcliff. From the beginning, Heathcliff was unwanted, mistreated, viewed as an intruder. Everyone despised him. Everyone except one, Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine was wild, proud, untamed, and between her and Heathcliff grew something more than friendship. They roamed the fields together, laughed at danger, defied the world. They did not love each other gently, they belonged to each other. And that was the beginning of everything. As Nellie continues her story, she explains that Catherine and Heathcliff grew up like two untamed forces of nature, shaped by wind, isolation, and the harshness of the moors. They knew no limits, they respected no rules. Their world was the hill, the open land, and the wild sense of freedom they shared. But that freedom began to break the moment Catherine's father died. With Mr. Earnshaw's death, everything changed. Control of Wuthering Heights passed to Hindley Earnshaw, Catherine's older brother. And Hindley hated Heathcliff. His hatred was not simple dislike. It was deep, personal contempt. To Hindley, Heathcliff was a mistake, that should never have been brought into their home, and so he did everything he could to destroy him. Heathcliff was stripped of education, reduced to the status of a servant, beaten, humiliated, treated as something less than human. And Catherine watched it happen. She still loved Heathcliff. She still felt bound to him. But something inside her began to change. She wanted more than the moors, more than the wind, more than that brutal life. One night, Catherine and Heathcliff wandered too close to Thrushcross Grange, the neighboring estate, a place elegant, warm, and refined, completely opposite to Wuthering Heights. Catherine is injured and taken inside. She remains there for weeks away from Heathcliff. When she finally returns, she is no longer the same. She speaks more gently. She dresses like a lady. She has learned manners, comfort, and social grace. And Heathcliff notices. He sees that Catherine has begun to desire a world he can never give her. Soon after, Catherine confesses something that seals their fate. She tells Nellie that she loves Heathcliff deeply, but that she could never marry him, not because she does not love him, but because marrying him would degrade her socially. Instead, she chooses Edgar Linton, a man who is kind, wealthy, and respectable, but who will never truly understand her wild soul. And then Catherine speaks the words that define the entire tragedy. I am Heathcliff. She knows they are the same at their core, yet she still chooses to abandon him. Heathcliff overhears this conversation, and in that moment, something inside him dies. Without saying a single word, Heathcliff leaves. He disappears. No one knows where he goes. No one knows what becomes of him. Years later, Heathcliff returns, but he is no longer the boy who was beaten and humiliated. He comes back wealthy, well-dressed, silent, and inside him burns only one thing: revenge. When Heathcliff returns to Wuthering Heights, he is almost unrecognizable. He is no longer the abused boy who endured humiliation in silence. Now he carries himself with control, with restraint, with something dark behind his eyes. Hindley Earnshaw, now broken by alcohol, debt, and bitterness, fails to understand what has returned to his home. He underestimates Heathcliff, and that is his greatest mistake. Slowly, deliberately, Heathcliff begins his revenge. He lends money to Hindley, encourages his self-destruction, watches as Hindley sinks deeper into ruin, until one day, without fully realizing how it happened, Hindley loses everything. Wuthering Heights, the house that once belonged to the Earnshaw family, now belongs to Heathcliff. The first part of his revenge is complete. Meanwhile, Catherine lives at Thrushcross Grange as Edgar Linton's wife. She has comfort, she has status, she has security, but she does not have peace. Her body begins to weaken, mirroring the conflict tearing her apart from within. She is divided between two worlds that cannot coexist. When Catherine and Heathcliff finally meet again, the tension between them is unbearable. They love each other. They resent each other. They wound each other. Catherine accuses Heathcliff of abandoning her. Heathcliff accuses her of betraying him. Neither can live nor die without the other. Catherine's health rapidly declines. In one of their final encounters, their conversation turns violent, not with hands, but with words. She accuses Heathcliff of breaking her heart. He responds that she destroyed him the moment she chose another man. And then he says something that reveals how completely this love has turned into obsession. He says he cannot live without her, and that even in death, she must never leave him. Soon after, Catherine dies. She leaves behind a grieving husband, a newborn daughter, and a Heathcliff utterly shattered. Standing before Catherine's body, Heathcliff begs her not to abandon him, not even in death. He begs her to haunt him, to torment him, to remain with him in any form, because living without her is worse than any suffering she could bring. But the story does not end with Catherine's death. In truth, it is only beginning. After Catherine's death, something inside Heathcliff closes forever. He continues to live, but only in the most literal sense. What remains now is hatred. Hatred for the world. Hatred for those who stood between him and Catherine, and even hatred for those who carry her blood. Heathcliff turns his revenge toward the next generation. Hindley Earnshaw dies soon after, ruined by alcohol and debt. His son, Hareton Earnshaw, is left under Heathcliff's control, but Heathcliff does not raise Hareton as an heir. He does to the boy exactly what Hindley once did to him. He humiliates him, denies him education, keeps him ignorant and submissive. This is not cruelty for cruelty's sake. It is revenge against the past. At the same time, Heathcliff inserts himself into the lives of the Linton family. He manipulates Isabella Linton, Edgar's younger sister, who falls in love with him without understanding who he truly is. Heathcliff marries Isabella. Not out of love, never out of love. The marriage is simply another weapon. Isabella quickly discovers that she has married a man incapable of tenderness. She endures fear, humiliation, and emotional violence. Eventually, she escapes. She disappears from Heathcliff's life. But she leaves behind a son, Linton Heathcliff. Years later, Edgar Linton also dies, leaving behind his daughter, Cathy Linton, alone. And once again, Heathcliff sees opportunity. He brings Linton Heathcliff back into his control and uses him to manipulate Cathy. He forces a marriage between them, not for love, but for power. Through this union, Heathcliff gains control of Thrushcross Grange as well. Now he owns everything. Wuthering Heights, Thrushcross Grange, every house, every legacy. But victory brings no peace. The revenge that once fueled him now feels hollow, because even after destroying everything, he still does not have Catherine. As the years pass, something unexpected begins to happen. Heathcliff's hatred starts to lose its power. He has won. He has taken every house. He has destroyed every life he set out to ruin. And yet, he is emptier than ever. The revenge that once sustained him has become another prison. Slowly, a new bond begins to form, quietly, almost unnoticed. Cathy Linton, Catherine's daughter, begins to grow closer to Hareton Earnshaw. At first there is resentment, then curiosity, and eventually something gentler takes shape. Unlike their parents, they are not ruled by pride or obsession. They make mistakes, but they learn. They argue, but they listen. Cathy begins teaching Hareton to read. She treats him not as a servant, but as someone worthy of respect, someone who deserves more than the fate imposed on him. And this unsettles Heathcliff, not with anger, but with recognition. As he watches them, Heathcliff realizes something deeply painful. They are what he and Catherine never were allowed to become. A love that doesn't destroy, a love that doesn't dominate, a love that doesn't demand vengeance. Little by little, Heathcliff loses interest in cruelty. He stops punishing, stops controlling, stops fighting. His thoughts return again and again to one name, Catherine. He begins to see her everywhere, in the fields, in the shadows, in the wind sweeping across the moors. He barely eats, barely sleeps. His body remains, but his spirit is already elsewhere. Heathcliff confesses to Nellie that he is tired of living, tired of hating, tired of existing without Catherine. He says he feels her close, that she is waiting for him, that he will not be alone much longer. For the first time, there is no rage in his voice, only longing, only exhaustion. In Heathcliff's final days, something changes completely. He no longer cares about property. He no longer cares about control. He no longer cares about revenge. All that remains is a single desire: to be reunited with Catherine. Heathcliff begins to wander the moors like a man caught between two worlds. The wind that once seemed violent now feels like a call. The nights grow long and restless. He speaks to the darkness as if someone is always near, someone only he can see. Nellie watches as he slowly fades, not violently, not dramatically, but like someone who has already left in spirit. Heathcliff refuses food, refuses rest, refuses to remain anchored to life. He says he sees Catherine everywhere, that he feels her presence, that she is calling him. And for the first time in many years, there is no anger in his voice, only peace. One morning, Heathcliff is found dead in his room. The windows open, the rain has entered. His face is calm, and on his lips there is the faint trace of a smile, as if he has finally found what he was searching for. After his death, some claim to have seen two figures walking together across the moors, a man and a woman, hand in hand, disappearing into the mist. Perhaps it is only a legend, or perhaps some loves are too powerful to be contained by life itself. With Heathcliff gone, the cycle is finally broken. Cathy Linton and Hareton Earnshaw are free. They plan to leave Wuthering Heights behind and begin a new life at Thrushcross Grange. They carry with them something that never truly existed on the hill before: hope. The house remains, silent, weathered, marked by everything that happened there. But for the first time, it can finally rest, because pain no longer rules that place. And that is what happens in Wuthering Heights, a story about obsessive love, revenge, and how even the most violent emotions can consume everything until time itself allows release.